see if this live stream works.
Hopefully it works.
If not, it's fine. Going? Yeah.
Boom. All right, sweet. It's live. Okay, welcome everybody. So first off, for those who are on the live stream, right before we found out someone drove, where were you from, sir?
I'm from Lethbridge, Alberta.
Lethbridge, Alberta. He came from a different country.
He made a border crossing of a country to be here.
Was it legal? Did you come through port of entry, or
No, I'm illegal.
you had to come over?
Yeah, just
Recommend.
yeah. We have a Canadian friend that's a Marine buddy of ours that has technically been in Disneyland from Canada for about 9 years now. So, yeah.
Don't out him.
Yeah, probably let's not out him.
Sounds like my mic is kind of spotty. Is it all right?
That's fine.
I can just take a handheld mic too. I'm completely fine doing that.
Probably sitting on the receiver.
While they're fixing that, guys, we're so grateful that you came tonight, and we love to do these in-person live events. Hayden and I, we have done the Stick of Joseph YouTube channel for just coming up on like 2.5 years, and it's been such a pleasure. And really all it is Hayden and I, first off, we started this because we had a lot of questions, and we had some friends and family very close to us that unfortunately didn't just forsake their faith in their restored gospel, but their faith in Jesus Christ and God. And it was heavily catalyzed by all the noise that we see online that is attacking not just the church, but Christianity as a whole. And so we felt we needed to do something, throw our hat in the ring. And with Hayden's background, extensive background in video editing and stuff like that, and my extensive background of just looking really handsome and being articulate on camera.
It's true. It's true.
That's a joke. That's a joke. Thanks, Jonah. No, we've had a blast, and really all it is, as you've noticed, is Hayden and I, we have a question. We have people reach out to us with something cool to share because they've taken their gospel study seriously, and then we just hit record, and we learn live with you. And it's been such a blast, and we're so grateful to have been introduced to psychos like Jonah Barnes and stuff like that. But we first want to give a big shout out and thank you to the person that's helping us put on this event. If we could give a round of applause for Russell Brunson.
He's going to be on the stage later tonight. First off, I'll just rock this. There we go. So he's going to be starting a YouTube channel here soon called Book of Mormon Secrets, which is going to be pretty epic. So we'll talk about that. But we're going to have a really fun night. We're going to be talking about Jonah's books, some of the amazing things that we've learned from there, things that Jonah has learned after, and he's kicking himself that he didn't know before, so he could have put them in the books. But for those that are watching that are bummed that they can't be here in Idaho and they weren't able to illegally cross the border from either Mexico or Canada, we are doing a live audience live stream December 5th. And so that's going to be in Orem, Utah at 7 p.m. So a lot of your favorite creators are going to be there. You're going to have Jonah Barnes once again, Dave Butler, Mike Day, Cardin Ellis, Greg Madsen, Colton Miller, Andrew Woodmancy. It's going to be such a fun night. So if you guys can make it, link in the, I hope it's in the description. Brandon, make sure it's in the description. And you guys can come and join us there December 5th. Also, as we're talking about things, we're going to be doing 15% off everything on Plain and Precious Publishing. So if you haven't got Jonah's book yet and you're listening to this and you're like, I want one, 15% off, code livestream. So yeah, it's going to be a fun night. Now, Jackson and I, we've been gone for the last 11 months away from our families. We've been overseas in the Marine Corps. And it was an amazing experience. We learned a lot. It ended up being a huge blessing to both of our families' lives. But also it was really sweet when it was over, I'll tell you. It was really nice to come home. And one of the things that we were working on right near the end is something really cool.
And very
controversial. We are publishing the first ever family a rhyming proclamation for kids. Because guess what? I was looking online and I was like, hey, do we have a family proclamation kids book out there?
Like at Deseret
At
Book?
Deseret Book or anything? And we're just like finding nothing. We're like, holy cow. Austin Falter, he wrote this. We helped him publish it. So this is really cool. So we want to let you guys know about this as well. This is just, we want to get rid of, get going on this stuff at the beginning, so that way the rest of the time we can just be talking about these cool books. But Jackson, I want to kick it over to you for a second. What are your thoughts since being home, and what are we trying to do with the Stick of Joseph?
Yeah.
And tell us about the new thing that you're doing.
Yeah. So while we were out there, it was crazy because Hayden and I, we had to record like 45 different episodes before we left. And it was a miraculous way in which we found our editor, Brandon, over in the corner, that if you have liked any of the episodes over the last year, it's because of Brandon. And so honestly, let's give a round of applause to Brandon. He's over there in the back. He's seriously done such a good job. We met him a week before we left for a year. We gave him the keys to the whole thing, and he's done an amazing job. But being over so we had all these crazy spiritual conversations, and then we're put into this environment that is
not very spiritual.
Coarse, and
we love Marines, but they are wild.
We love them. And I wish
animals.
I could look in each of your eyes and say, you know the 2,000 stripling warriors in the Book of Mormon? Copy and paste that to our United States Marine Corps. Like, they've got the same values and everything. And not to say that they're all, bloodthirsty animals, but because they're not, but some of them are. But there's some really good guys out there, and we had Bible study as often as the occasion would permit when we're not training and stuff like that, and even out in the field, under a headlamp at night, we'd be reading the scriptures together, and being separated from your comfort zone like that, and having to rely on God in such a course environment. It was different than a mission, because at least, you have your companion with you. You have, the other missionaries in your district and stuff like that. Out there, it was just really different, a unique experience, and it gave me a whole different perspective on the need to flood the world with the good name of Jesus Christ. And in an effort to do that more, we decided we want to start a daily news and pop culture commentary show looking at things happening in the world from a gospel perspective. And we kind of did that because I noticed a lot of these daily shows that I would listen to out there when I had the time, whenever the Latter-day Saints got brought up, they made sure to throw their hat in the ring and make sure that everyone knew they disagreed with us and that they thought we weren't Christians either. And it was just kind of bothering me watching these shows that I liked and then figuring out, oh, these people think I'm going to hell too. So then we're like, let's do that. So we started the show a week ago, Latter-day Saints. If any of you have seen it, I don't know, has anyone seen any episodes here?
Nice.
Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, it's been good. 6,000 subscribers in a week, and over 150,000 views, and it's looking like it's gonna fill a need. So all of your feedback is much appreciated. We read all the comments most of the time, and yeah, I look forward to some good faith-building content.
Yeah, and I just think overall, like, one of the things that we want to do, and we've already identified a couple voices that we want to highlight more of. There's a lot of really smart and awesome people out there that don't have the technical ability to be able to run a show, create thumbnails, but the world needs to hear what they have to share. And so we've identified a couple voices, and moving into the new year, we're going to be producing other LDS YouTube shows that fill niches that we're seeing are missing, because what we're finding with doing the Stick of Joseph, and we've heard this so many times, like we had someone reach out the other day, and I'll just share this story, and it brought tears in my eyes. But there was a young man. He decided he didn't want to serve a mission. He was kind of like, I don't even know if I want to do the whole church thing. Goes to college, away to college, and then somehow gets introduced to the Stick of Joseph. And his aunt's also super into the Stick of Joseph, so she's the one telling me the story. And so they're saying how they're sending videos back and forth about, look what Andrea Woodmansey's saying, look what Dave Butler's saying, look at all these people that we've grown to love and learn from. And she called me, and with tears in her eyes, she said, And just so you know, after a year, he just told us that he secretly put in his mission papers and he's going on a mission. And that spiritual transformation that he went through is the same one we've been going through. And like, the thing I love about the Stick of Joseph is I used to watch LDS YouTube channels and I'd be like, I wish I could ask questions. I have like questions that I want to ask. And I know many of you feel that way that are watching online or here. You're like, I want to ask this question to this person. And so we started it, and that's what we're doing. And I think that's why, like, when we all gather together like this, I feel so happy because I know that we're like-minded, like we're the same type of people, you know what I mean? We're hungry and we're all learning at the same time. Me and Jackson are not the smart ones on the show. We're the ones who are asking the questions that hopefully you guys would be asking as well. And so we hope to be able to do more of that and provide more opportunities for people to do that. So that's kind of what we got going this next year. And so we're really, really excited to just be back and to be talking about the good word. So just so you guys know, at the end of the show tonight, we're going to be doing a Q&A. So near the end, we're going to be doing Q&A. So if you have questions, write them down, and we'll have a microphone so you guys can ask those questions to Jonah and to Russell. And to us, if I don't know what answers we have, but if you have a question for us, so.
But as all good Plain and Precious publishing events, we have some live music for you, of course.
That we do not endorse because we don't know what he's going to say or sing or anything.
Dave Butler and Jonah Barnes always come up to us and say, hey, I have a song that I wrote and I want to play in front of everyone. We're like, can we hear it first? And they're like, no. And we're like, well... I guess if we have to, we'll just delete the live stream after. But
yeah,
they haven't necessarily disappointed us yet. But before we get into the discussion, Jonah Barnes,
come play us a song.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. If you have time, perhaps afterwards, there are fresh, all-natural pumpkin spice cranberry bagels for you in the kitchen. You can go ahead and grab them and pretend like you love them and only say positive things about them. All right.
No, guys, you have to listen to this. He called me up and he's like, bro, do you know what'd be really funny? I was like, what? He's like, so I have my bakery, because he's a baker, if you guys didn't know this. So if you've read these books, this is not a scholar, it's a baker writing them.
It's definitely not a scholar.
Definitely not a scholar.
Definitely not a scholar.
So, and he's just like, hey, what I'm thinking would be hilarious is if I woke up really early in the morning, went and I cooked a bunch of pumpkin spice bagels, and I threw them in a carry-on, and then I brought them over and everyone could eat them. And I'm like, yeah, that's funny, bro. Let's do it.
I don't get it. I think
they're delicious. Yeah.
And a second bagel for this guy right here. A second bagel goes to him. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
No, it is an awesome idea. So if at any time you guys are hungry during this, go back to the kitchen, get yourself a bagel.
Free pumpkin spice bagel.
Yeah.
Worth the price of admission right there. Okay, so we're going to try to this. So, yes, I did not vet this with the Paul brothers before tonight. So I was just thinking about, so the Lost Gems of Genesis is about the Old Testament. And there's some things in the Old Testament, sometimes you read them, you feel disconnected from them, like they're not real, but these are real people. These are real people. So I thought, who is maybe perhaps a little too fantasticized? I don't know if that's a word. And we need to bring him down to our level, is Samson. So this one is the biblically accurate version of Hey There, Delilah. Hey there, Delilah, it's me, Samson, your new boyfriend. I'm just thrilled that we're an item, but there's a few weird things you should know about me. I'm a dedicated Nazarene. I'm a stay clean. Hey there, Delilah, so when I woke last night, you had a knife right by my throat, and then I forgave you the last moment, 'cause you're hot. Strong as I am, smart I'm not. Smart I'm not. But oh, I'm a Nazarene. Oh, yes, I'm a Nazarene. Oh, I'm a Nazarene. Oh, yes, I'm a Nazarene. Remember, Delilah, when I said that I was dedicated? Well, you waited till I was sedated, then tried to get me decapitated. Why? I know I'm not the smartest guy, but don't you lie. So then, Delilah, one day I blinked and soldiers fettered me. I lost the strength that God gave to me after you gave me a harectomy. I realize now that they gouged out both my eyes, your hotness is vaporized. Do you serve those Philistines by chance? Do you serve those Philistines? Do you happen to serve those Philistines? Do you serve those Philistines? Without all my precious hair, I'll raise up one more desperate prayer and fell these pillars on the royal court. And if I live, I'll tell the world that though you are a pretty girl, you've got the personality of a wart. Now that I'm blind, I can tell your voice is shrill, your armpits smell, and when you laugh, I hate the way you snort. You're such a dork. Hey there, Delilah, when I reach the angelic aviary, I'll send a little cherub to carry you, amoebic dysentery, you spy. I want you to know before I die that though no one ever mentioned it, you're the one with lots of hair on your upper lip. So burn with those Philistines, oh burn with those Philistines. Go burn with the Philistines, oh burn with the Philistines. When you're old and covered in moss, I hope you OD on Botox and all your skin goes sloughing off and you get eaten by your cats or 100 rabid rats, or you contact leprosy or get stung by a million bees, or you choke on your own tongue or get buried alive in a pile of dung because if you drink a latte with bleach because you've served those Philistines. Oh, oh, you ho, go burn with those Philistines.
Oh my gosh.
I hope that makes them a little more real.
Jonah, why don't you just stay up here? Just stay up here. And Russell, where's Russell at? Everyone welcome Russell Brunson.
Who also prepared a song for us.
He also prepared a song.
No, not at all.
Jonah, the thing that's beautiful about that is I don't know what I need to read the Samson or the Samson story now.
Fact check if that is.
Yeah, it was totally accurate.
It's all the apocrypha, those extra
It's the
parts.
apocrypha. Okay, I do draw from the apocrypha. The amoebic dysentery was the testament of things.
Yeah.
It's a little,
Wow. Well, okay, so Russell, the whole reason we're here, we messaged a couple times on Instagram. You said you're a fan of the channel, but then what we kept seeing on our Shopify background is like you kept buying books, like a certain book. You kept buying The Key to the Keystone over and over and over again. And we're like, what is this guy doing? Is he burning them? Like, is he missing wood for his fireplace? Like, what's going on? And we find out that for some reason you love those books.
Yeah.
And so we kept in touch, and then finally when we get back, we're like, let's do something and get together. What about The Key to the Keystone like really lit you off?
Well, first off, this is amazing these guys are doing this, and so excited to be here. I followed the Stick of Joseph for a long time, loved their stuff, had a lot of fun, and then they had this guy come on an interview, and he was really goofy and telling weird stories. I was like, this guy's really interesting.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah. And I was just like,
who's the goofy? Oh.
He was telling these jokes and stories. I'm like, what's happening? And he's like, yeah, I launched this new book called The Key to the Keystone. And I'm a book guy. I collect them. I'm obsessed with them. And so I buy every book. And so I buy the book immediately.
18,000 books. We saw them today.
Yeah.
18,000 like rare books. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have a problem. But, anyway, so I get the book, and then a week later, I sit down on Sunday and I put my headphones. I like listen to headphones and read at the same time, so I'm reading it, and I'm just sucked into the story and what's happening, and it shifted my whole like mindset on so many things. And it was cool as I was just starting to read the Book of Mormon again from the very beginning, right afterwards. And I'm sure you'll tell what the key of the Keystone is and all the other stuff. But the big pieces about the brass plates. So I started reading the Book of Mormon from the beginning, and it was like every time the word brass plates came up again, and all of a sudden it shows up everywhere after you're aware of it. And I was like highlighting a different color, and then I'd find these sermons. I'm like, this has got to come from the brass plate. And I was just like freaking out. So I tell everybody I know about this book, and I'm like, you have to buy it. They're like, okay, and then nobody buys it. So I'm like, okay, so I started buying it, and I'm sending it, and I'm buying it. So I'm just buying it to everybody, because I'm like, I don't know. And so, I bought a lot of copies and loved it, and then just became my favorite book. I've recommended it. We did a podcast earlier today, and he was upset that, he's like, so you give away more of my books than Book of Mormons?
Yeah. He said, this is my favorite book. I give away more copies of this than any other book. And I was like, oh, more than the Book of Mormon. Okay.
I failed the test.
Admitting that live.
Yeah,
Wow.
The afterlife, that'll be, anyway. And then a couple weeks ago, Gems of Genesis comes out. I didn't even know, we were texting while they were gone, and they're like, hey, by the way, he's got a new book coming out, and he shows me a picture. And so I got that, read through it even faster, and became obsessed. And so when we reconnected when they got home, I was like, we should do an event. You should bring Jonah. We should talk about these books because they're insane. So, and that's all I have to contribute. I'm just here to like have him tell stories. So
The whole venue is because of you. This is all possible because of you. Thank you
selfishly, I
very
just
much.
wanted to talk to you. So anyway, here we are.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, man. I'm so glad you're on. It takes time to read books.
Yeah.
It takes time to read books, and we seem to have less and less time these days. So I'm so flattered that anyone takes the time to read or listen to my books, and I read them. I read them with my voice, and I'm just thrilled when people take the time. So thank you.
Yeah. And just to gauge the audience, raise your hand if you've read Key of the Keystone.
Yeah.
Okay, keep your hands up. You know, it's better. Raise your hand if you haven't read Key to the Keystone. Okay.
Oh, we're gonna sell you on it tonight.
No bagels for you.
There we go. How many
All right, you
have
got
read
it.
the Lost Gems of Genesis? Nice.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Epic.
Right. Okay.
How many have read the Book of Mormon? Let's go.
Yes.
How many people here think that leather Crocs are an abomination?
You always hate on my Crocs. You always hate on my
Jonah's got
Crocs.
leather
I'm gonna
Crocs
put them in
on.
the shot. Are they in the shot?
Yeah, there we go. Those are crazy.
Yeah, the last time we saw
I'm not
Jonah
ashamed.
was at the Firm Foundation Book of Mormon Evidences Conference, and he was wearing the exact same clothes that he is now.
They got leather. These are like nice Crocs. These are like formal Crocs. You can get married in these Crocs. These are nice Crocs. You're lucky I didn't wear my bright pink ones with the little K-pop Demon Hunter squishies in them.
Yeah.
I could have worn those.
You could have worn those. It's true. Hey, well, we're glad that you came even with leather Crocs. So for those maybe who are watching, give a brief synopsis of what Key to the Keystone is about. And then I asked you, okay, every book we published so far, as we've talked to authors more about the subject of their books, they're always like, yeah, look what I learned. Or they had someone that read their book and they're like, hey, did you ever think about this? And then the author's like, freak, I wish I put that in my book. So we want to talk about a couple of those, but explain, what is Key to the Keystone? What's the basic synopsis?
So one of my favorite things is to ask other people what my book is about.
Oh, yeah?
So in one word, can anybody, just one word, if you had one word, Key to the Keystone, what's it about? Maybe 2 words. Anybody? Brass plates. Anybody
Brass
else?
plates, okay.
Apocrypha. Anybody else? No Samson.
Jesus.
No? Jesus.
Yeah.
There we
It's
go.
not just the answer.
Oh, you're like
card.
Apocrypha. He's like Jesus. Boom. I'll raise you with Jesus. Yeah. So the Key to the Keystone is about people have been trying for hundreds of years to figure out how in the world Joseph Smith could have written the Book of Mormon. And they come up with these theories. They're like, he must have copied it from this. He must have copied it from that.
The View of the Hebrews.
Oh, and this is delicious. They're like, yeah, View of the Hebrews, or like the Late War, or like all these like ridiculous ideas. And if you actually go open them up, I was talking to Russell, and he's like, yeah, actually, I have a copy of View of the Hebrews.
I've got a first edition copy.
He's like, yeah, I opened it up and I read it. And I was like,
What?
this is nothing like the Book of Mormon. When you actually go look at it, you're like, that's a pathetic cope trying to explain the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
But actually, the Book of Mormon admits in the very first pages that it does come from another book. Quite heavily depends on another book. And that book is the most important book in our religion that no one's ever read, and that's the brass plates. The first stories in the Book of Mormon are about how this book is so important that they're willing to kill for it to get the brass plates from Jerusalem. And yet no one's ever read this book. It was a real book. Someone held in their hand. It had real pages, real brass pages, and it really existed. Well, where did it go? And so the Book of Mormon admits that it's inspired from this record. And so I kind of read some apocrypha and ancient documents and stuff. And when we started reading the Book of Mormon one year, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many parallels here from these apocryphal books. Well, that's weird. And then I started to notice that whenever the Book of Mormon said, I'm reading from the brass plates, I was inspired by the words of the prophets, or the brass plates have said blah, 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 all those times were when it would perfectly parallel with these ancient documents. And I went, did they have these documents on the brass plates? Like, are they reading from these? You know, Nephi would say, I was reading the brass plates. And then he'd give this sermon. Well, that sermon is like this sermon. It's like in the Assumption of Moses. And I'm like, how is this over, unless this was... And so I thought, maybe you could try to reconstruct what the brass plates were. And so the Key to the Keystone is kind of my journey in reconstructing the brass plates.
Yeah, and it's epic. And I'll tell you, when he published it, the scholars all changed their minds.
They did.
And they were like, this guy is an absolute brilliant
yes,
guy.
they did.
You were getting PhDs, honorary PhDs, and everything, right?
All over the place. And I was like, guys, I can't be a doctor in every university yet. I got to pick one.
If you didn't know, Jonah Barnes is the only human being walking on the earth that has ever received the illustrious Plain and Precious Publishing University PhD.
Right, that's right. At our first book launch, these guys made, thank you. I know it's quite prestigious. Please. No,
Given by two guys who have never set foot into college.
So I hang it in my office. I have my other degrees, and then I have that one in my office.
Above
More
it.
proud of that one.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And some dude walked in and he goes, oh, it's been a long time since I saw you. Oh, you got another degree. Oh, wow. Last time I saw you, I had 2 degrees. Now you got a 3rd degree. And I was like, yeah, I did. I don't think he looked too closely at it.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Precious University. Yeah. So.
That's awesome. And so, there's a lot of pushback, but one of the, from some scholarly folks that, I don't even know if they read it though. Like, that's the thing.
No, they don't.
Because they don't read it because the thing that it's always misrepresented what the basic thesis is. The thesis isn't that all of these books that you are pulling from are as old as the brass plates.
Yeah, that's
the thesis is, why are these ideas that are ancient? We know that all these documents are ancient. All of them were found and translated after the Book of Mormon came out. Why are all these ideas also in the Book of Mormon? And so it's kind of like this two-way thing of the Book of Mormon's ancient authenticity is strengthened by these ancient documents,
right,
but also the validity of these ancient stories is strengthened by the Book of Mormon.
That's right.
And so it's this weird conundrum that you have to find yourself in. And many of the scholars are like, he's saying that, the Egyptian Adam and Eve is all the way from 600 BC.
Right.
And he's like, that's not what he's saying.
That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, so I was telling Russell about this earlier, that a lot of these scholars, a lot of these academics will look at these ancient documents. They'll look at the Ascension of Isaiah or the Assumption of Moses or the Apocalypse of Moses or whatever, these apocryphal records, these weird kind of apocryphal records, and they'll say, well, this talks about Jesus Christ, so it can't be before 30 AD. That's impossible, right? Now, we just had a show of hands of people who have read the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is like, if you were to sum it up in a sentence, it would be people before Christ talking about Christ. Like, that's kind of the whole shtick, right? And so if you know the Book of Mormon is true, which it absolutely is, then you cannot use that same logic that the academics use to dismiss these documents. They say it obviously is anachronistic because it discusses Christ before 30 AD. Therefore, not even worth looking at, we can dismiss those. Well, we all know the secret, which is they absolutely knew about Christ, some people did, before 30 AD. And so we get to read these documents that everyone kind of blithely dismisses without giving it a second look and find kind of hidden gems in there. Now, some of them are wacky, some of them are kind of crazy. So you got
There's some wacky stories, man.
Some wacky
But
stories.
also in the Old Testament, like there's stories of she-bears eating children
Yes,
because they
thank you.
made fun of a bald prophet.
Yes.
There's donkeys talking.
There's the guy who was like unkillable and could lift, leap over buildings in a single bound because of his long hair.
Yeah. And
That's kind of a weird
the
story.
guy rises from the dead by his own power.
Kind of a weird story.
The thing that's crazy is the suspense of disbelief in the Christian world is all reserved for the Bible, but the second we start talking about the Book of Mormon, it's like that's too crazy to
Yes,
believe.
They turn into
and you're like,
skeptical
what?
rationalists.
It's more. It's less. It's
Yeah.
less crazy to believe that Jesus Christ actually died, rose from the dead 3 days later,
Yeah.
than to think that maybe a prophet could be revealed the name of Jesus Christ in 600
Right.
BC.
Right.
Right.
And I'm sorry to interrupt the flow, but can we all give a round of applause for Hayden doing this show right after getting his tracheotomy? Isn't that great? He still is here putting in the work.
I'm sorry, I'm getting
after quitting smoking. After quitting smoking, the Marines are stressful.
I had to find
stressful,
something
okay?
to cope
Nothing is
with.
You gotta
cooler
cope
than a
somehow.
man in uniform smoking
Gotta
a
cope
cig.
somehow.
Yeah.
All right.
No, honestly, what it is being around 3 little children filled with germs after being away from them for a year, and immediately you just get sick from
Yeah.
it.
He prefers the hip hop mic.
Yeah.
I like that. I say plain, you say precious. I like the hip hop mic's it's a good look.
So you write.
That's what I was talking about, by the way.
The key to the Keystone, yeah. That's what's so fun about reading your book too. Is like your book is like listening to you just talk normal. It's amazing. Most people can't. They have a writing voice and they have a speaking voice. You're able to like put those together. It's
And that's
amazing.
why my wife won't read the book. She's like, I get enough of this. I get enough of this.
What
Go
is
to sleep,
something?
honey.
What is something from Key to the Keystone that you, as you've been studying and continually reading and learning and even writing your upcoming books, what is something that you're like, man, I wish I would have known this before because I would have put it in Key to the Keystone?
Well, so what you learn writing books for Latter-day Saints, Latter-day Saints are weird, man. Latter-day Saints are like, because just like an average dad, just average dad, will be totally obsessed with the scriptures and will know these crazy things.
And he's just like a lawyer or like
He's
a
just like
pharmacist.
some dude, right?
Yeah.
He's just like some guy, and he's like, "Well,
Or a
you know,
baker.
I read the Book of Ether 50 times, and you're like, and it's kind of terrifying because they can point out if you get anything wrong, they immediately know. Just these random dads. They're not scholars or pastors, or they're just Latter-day dads. So I love it. But it's kind of nerve-wracking. But on the Word Radio Discord and on the Stick of Joseph Discord, which it's like
The Plain and Precious Publishing
it's like an
Discord.
internet thing.
Okay, weird.
Okay, it's an internet thing. Okay.
Someday.
But on that Discord, like people will talk about what they read and stuff, and there's guys on there who they find all kinds of things. Hey, I was reading this. One guy, he was in Lost Gems of Genesis. I talk about the fall of Lucifer. That the fall of Lucifer, as described in Moses chapter 4, is actually not the same story as Abraham chapter 3. And Abraham chapter 3
What are
is
the differences?
well, the differences you'll have to buy the book. No, the differences are that's lame, right? No, the differences are that in the book of Abraham, so we assume that the book of Abraham chapter 3 is the same story as Moses chapter 4. In the chapter heading of Abraham chapter 3, it says the selection of a redeemer, choosing a redeemer. But if you actually read the chapter, the word redeemer never appears in the text. It never appears in the chapter. Usually chapter headings in LDS scripture are very, very careful not to be speculative. They're very careful and very good at it. In this one particular place, it doesn't say redeemer anywhere, but somebody put that in chapter heading. Moses chapter 4, if you remember, and some of you could probably recite it, Moses chapter 4 says that first Satan comes, Lucifer comes, and he says, I got a great plan. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to be saved. Give me your glory. Let's do this. Let's do this. What do you say? And then Jehovah interrupts and says, hold on. And the Lord does not choose, the Father does not choose Lucifer, but chooses Jehovah instead. Right? And it says, and then he falls. If you read Abraham chapter 3, it says, one like unto the Son of Man came before me and volunteered.
Yeah, it says in verse 27, I'll read it. Abraham chapter 3, verse 27. And the Lord said, whom shall I send? So the Lord's saying this, first off.
Instead of somebody coming forth and saying, hey, I got this great idea, sit down, it's going to be awesome. Instead of that,
because it's talking about first estate and second estate in the previous verses, right? So it's just talking about estates. And the Lord said, who shall I send? And one answered like unto the Son of Man, here am I, send me. And another answered and said, here am I, send me. And the Lord said, I will send the first.
The first.
So it's not, it isn't Jesus. It's like very clear in there. It's like unto the Son of Man, which is a name for Christ.
Right. Right. So
what is it about then?
So Moses chapter 4, it says the first guy was rejected. Well, Abraham chapter 3 says the first guy was selected. Uh-oh. I mean, it doesn't say, I'll send this guy. It says, I will send the first. And Moses chapter 4 very explicitly says Lucifer was the first. So these are not the same account. Something's funny. Something's fishy.
Something different, yeah.
So the apocrypha there's a lot of literature about the fall of Lucifer and why he fell. And it overwhelmingly points to his nemesis not being Jehovah, but being Michael. Lucifer hated Michael. Michael took his spot, and Lucifer's bitter at him for it. Competing with Jehovah? Nobody competes with Jehovah. None of all these records, and I've read a lot of them, no one would ever, Lucifer's not an idiot.
Yeah.
Nobody, it's like trying to blow a hurricane away with your breath. You don't fight Jehovah. What are you, stupid? And so I always thought that was so weird. I always thought that was so funny. And then in Abraham, but all the stories are instead about Lucifer versus Michael. And yet Joseph never checked that box. In all of Joseph's stuff, never does he correct that. And I thought, boy, that's a real big check box. He just skipped over everything else. He nails. He runs the table on all these crazy parallels with ancient documents, but he never hits Lucifer versus Michael. And I always thought that was weird until I reread Abraham chapter 3 with kind of new eyes. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's not Jehovah, that's Michael.
Yeah.
The first person volunteering was Michael. They weren't vying for redeemership. They were vying to be the first man. The first man inherits the earth. He becomes the king
the
of
patriarch
the world,
of the earth,
the patriarch of the human race. And so Michael says, he submits his application, his resume, and then Lucifer submits his resume, and the Lord says, I will send the first. And so that story is different than the Moses 4 story. And so after this, a guy contacted me on Discord, and he says, you read Doctrine and Covenants chapter 20...
Whoa, what section is that?
It's 27 or 29.
Did you write it down in the text you sent me?
I did, indeed.
Okay, let me
I did
pull it up.
text. I sent you a textual message. 29?
29.
And if you notice, there's some interesting verses in there where it talks about creation and talks about Michael specifically, and then immediately talks about the fall of Adam, the fall of Lucifer, right after that. If you look at Abraham 3, what is he trying to convey? He's talking to Abraham, and he's saying, I'm the real deal. I'm Jehovah, and here's how he created everything. He talks about the cosmos early in chapter 3, and then what's all chapter 4 about? Creation. He's not talking about the council in heaven choosing the Redeemer. He's just not. He's talking about selecting the first man and populating the earth, which he gets to in Abraham chapter 4. And so that vignette in there is Michael versus Lucifer. And so he finds this after I write my book. And he's like, dude, it's right here. And I was like, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really glad you found that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. Like my wife, I think it was Lost Gems. I submitted it, and the next day she found, I'm missing a citation. It was a really important citation.
Yeah.
It was the Apocalypse of Enos. And she found, I just didn't even put the citation in. She finds it like the day after. I'm like, oh, thank you, honey. I'm really glad you did that. But now I know there's this huge hole in my book. Thank you very much. So there are a lot of things like that.
And just to back up a little bit, because before I read your book, I didn't really understand where the Pearl of Great Price came from. Because we have the standard works, right? The Bible, Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price.
Right.
And I just always thought it was like that since the beginning. And we saw a first edition Pearl of Great Price today. Help us understand, like, when did we finally adopt the Pearl of Great Price as canon, and like how was it compiled?
Which, real quick, before he does that, we can't explain enough. Like, a first edition Pearl of Great Price that Russell has, like, it's not a book. It's a little pamphlet that was made, right? How did you get that? Where did you find this?
Yeah, if you look at Pearl of Great Price, they said it was a pamphlet, and so if you find an early or first edition Pearl of Great Price, typically people would go to a bookstore and there'd be a whole bunch of pamphlets, and they're like, I want the Seer from Orson Pratt, I want this, and they put it together and bind it into a book. So you usually find them inside of a book. And I've only found one copy ever that was just the original, in its original leaflet as the pamphlet. The one you guys got to see is just the original.
What year is that from?
It's like early.
1833, I think?
No, it's 50.
Or-
No,
50 something.
Pearl of Great Price, 57.
55 is when it
Yeah.
was published.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was published in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out. That's super cool.
And you
By
have that
the guy.
too. But yeah.
Franklin D. Richards.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Okay, but tell about the weirdness of the Pearl of Great Price, because we get it, and everyone thinks that, like, the Pearl of Great Price is like Joseph Smith sitting in front with his Bible, and he's like, all right, I'm going to fix what's kind of wrong with this, all right? So he's like going through the Bible, he's like adding things, you're getting revelation, but that isn't how the Pearl of Great Price comes to be.
No.
And I also assume that, like, before reading your book, that, like, it was part of the canonized, that he launched,
Right.
I picture Joseph Smith launching his
Right.
book, here's the Pearl of Great Price, everyone here's, and it wasn't
Like
like
the
that. I didn't
expansion
realize
pack.
it till,
Yeah, he's like, hey, I've been working on
DLC.
something really awesome.
The DLC, it's a computer thing. Yeah.
He's a anything about computers.
Just trying to catch him up.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
So if you look at, so when I was looking at the Pearl of Great Price, I was researching it, trying to figure out what it was. When I was young, which was like when they first published it, I was that, way back then when I was young, in 1850s.
Yeah.
Back in my day, I always thought, well, if the Book of Mormon contains the fullness of the gospel, then, like, why the Pearl of Great Price at all? I thought that was kind of weird. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out where the Pearl of Great Price comes from, what it is, and everybody says, oh, it's part of the Joseph Smith translation of the Bible, right? But if you actually, the Joseph Smith Papers nerds, in their nerdery, have searched and searched to try to figure out what Joseph was thinking when he reveals the Pearl of Great Price, and they can't find it anywhere. Joseph never gives an explanation. He never says, I'm going to sit down and retranslate the Bible. He doesn't do that. Years later, he looks back and he says, say, this is like the beginning of Genesis. I bet you I could do the whole Bible like a JST. But that's not how he starts. We have no explanation for why he starts. He just kind of, one day, weeks after the Book of Mormon is published, weeks, he sits down with a scribe and he just goes, grab a pen and starts talking. And
There's no book in front of him. There's nothing.
there's nothing in front of him. He doesn't speak Greek. He doesn't speak Hebrew. He didn't even have Genesis. There is no Enoch in Genesis. He sits down and he just says, start writing. And he starts dictating, just like he did the Book of Mormon. He starts dictating 3 revelations. The revelation to the elders of Zion, revelation on the words of Moses, and revelation concerning Adam. And one is only 36 verses long, one is a chapter or 2, and then one of them, the revelation concerning Adam, is what we call Moses 5, 6, and 7. It's a huge revelation. And it is all about Enoch. There's nothing about Enoch in the Bible. There's nothing. There's like 2 verses about Enoch. And so he just sits down and starts revealing this thing. And so we all kind of mistakenly think he sits down with Bibles, which he did later. He did later to do other parts of the Old Testament, but he did not when he sits down with the original revelations from the Pearl of Great Price. So what we're reading in the Pearl of Great Price is a revelation like the Book of Mormon. It's just Joseph receiving light and going and just spitting out this book. It's amazing. Abraham comes around 5 years later. He gets the papyri and translates the Book of Abraham. But the original Book of Moses is within weeks of the Book of Mormon being published. And it just flows. December 1st, 1830, he sits down with Emma. And he's like, grab a quill pen. let's lay this down, right? Best date night
Ever.
ever, okay?
That sounds
If
like
a
something
guy
you would
does
do.
that, ladies, if a guy does that to you, you either run or you marry that guy. Marry that guy. Because he just starts dictating this revelation. It's amazing. And the Pearl of Great Price is, the Book of Mormon's awesome. The Book of Mormon's awesome. But the Pearl of Great Price is like Oops All Berries. It's like if the Book of Mormon is Captain Crunch, if the Book of Mormon is Captain Crunch, Pearl of Great Price is Oops All Berries. Every line is like, oh, that's so good. Every single line. There's no empty space in the Pearl of Great Price. It's just pure, like you could write a book on a verse. Anyways.
Yeah. And so
why did it take till 1855 to get published?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. So
Answer my question,
So what
please.
happens is Joseph reveals this and writes it down, and then it takes until he's long dead, a decade after his death, that Franklin D. Richards is mission president in the British Isles mission in 1855. And he says, "Say, have you read this? These are really, really cool. We should publish these." And so he takes these 3 revelations that become Book of Moses, and he takes the Book of Abraham, and did he do the Wentworth letter? You have it. You'd know. Does he have the?
I don't.
It could have been he took, but he at least takes those benedictions from we know as Moses and Abraham, and he puts them together in a pamphlet for his missionaries in 1855. And that's the very first time they get together in 1855. And then later on in the 1880s, then somebody says, hey, we should canonize these. And so the Pearl of Great Price was not even canon for 50 years.
Wow.
Until then it was included. And so it is a really mysterious, really cool book. And I hope that my analysis, there's greater minds than mine have explored the Pearl of Great Price. But if you really study the parallels between the Pearl of Great Price and ancient documents, that is a crazy book. That's a crazy book. The Book of Mormon's awesome.
Yeah.
The Book of Mormon's awesome, but the Pearl of Great Price is it's like more Byzantine, like older, and like it's even more foreign and
Yeah, it has the whole story of, I mean, not the whole story, but a huge portion about Enoch.
Yeah.
Which you can't, like, there is one verse in Genesis about Enoch
Yes.
that just says Enoch lived. Like, pretty much, that's all it says.
Like, thanks.
And
Thanks
but
for that,
then
Moses. Thank
it's something like 50 verses or something like that about Enoch in the Pearl of Great Price, like a huge chunk, or maybe
It's
even more
like
than that.
It's like 200 and something verses.
Oh,
It's
really?
three
That
full-
many?
Well, if you count chapter 5, it gets a little. So
It's a
it
little
could be more
backward.
like 120. Or
Okay, yeah. But it's a huge amount. And then Joseph Smith, so he spills this out of his mouth. It gets written down, and then he says nothing about it. He gets
Yes.
murdered. He gets murdered, and then someone finds it and like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm going to put it in a pamphlet. Gets put in a pamphlet, and then gets canonized, and then Enoch starts getting translated
Yes.
into English from all of these ancient
Right.
documents, and then correlation.
Yes.
Correlation.
Yes.
The same names that were previously unknown,
Mm-hmm.
that were in the Pearl of Great Price, are now being found in the Book of Enoch.
Right.
These books that are being translated. And like that was one of the chapters in the Lost Gems of Genesis where I was just like, I couldn't get enough. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
This is an absolute bullseye
Well,
for Joseph.
and some of you have already read the book, so it kind of spoils it. But if you haven't read Lost Gems of Genesis, am I right? Okay, Genesis chapter 6, a bunch of giants show up. Okay?
Like what?
They take out the daughters of men. They start having angels fall. Then they have giant babies. Anybody weirded out by this? It's a really weird verse. This is a weird verse. Okay, and then everyone's like, "Oh, there's giants." You ever go on YouTube and just like giants in
Type
the
in
Bible?
Nephilim. Yeah.
Nephilim. There's a million things. This is a weird story. Okay, and Joseph is the guy who solves it. He's the guy who solves it. And if you read it real carefully and see what he said, and then take the new discovery. So since Joseph's book, there have been 5 books of Enoch discovered since Joseph published his first. Okay, there's the Ethiopic Book of Enoch, the Old Slavonic Book of Enoch, the Hebrew, the a Book of the Giants from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then there's the Mandaean liturgy that produces the Book of Enoch. 5. If you are forging a document, if you said, oh, this is a lost song from the Beatles that they never published, but I've got it, I'm going to play it for you, and you played it and you recorded it for everybody to hear, and then later on somebody said, we discovered 5 unpublished Beatles albums, you'd be sweating bullets. You'd be like, oh, shoot, they're going to, I just lied through my teeth about that, right?
Yeah.
Joseph publishes this thing, and then 5 books of Enoch come out after that. And yet, somehow, he hopscotches around every mine in the minefield, and he weaves these all together perfectly, and he solves kind of the biggest mysteries of the Old Testament. The giants sleeping with the daughters of men. What the heck is going on? He solves this stuff in his revelations. And so I thought that it's got to be the subject of this book.
And one of the things that you point out is a professor, I can't remember who it was, non-LDS professor, his theory, I wish I should have studied this up and had it in my brain, but you can read it in the, Michael Heiser.
Oh, Heiser?
Yeah, his whole theory of how Joseph Smith got it is like somehow he had to have gotten a secret version.
Yes.
Yeah, he had to get a secret version of Enoch. Who was it? I can't remember.
Well, Dr. Quinn, the historian.
Okay.
The ex-Mormon historian. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, what's his theory of how Joseph Smith did? Because obviously Joseph Smith couldn't have done it through revelation.
No, this is
from
so
God.
Good. So this guy,
how did he trick everybody?
So he's this ex-Mormon historian, and he goes, I found a catalog of books that were in the New York City Library in 1828, and guess what's on the list? And he's like, Book of Enoch's on, the Ethiopic Book of Enoch is on the list. So the Ethiopic Book of Enoch was the first one discovered. It was brought back by a guy, Bruce, in the 1770s, but it wasn't translated into English until 1821. A guy, Richard Lawrence, translates it in London, and so he doesn't do the whole thing, but there's a partial book of the Ethiopic Book of Enoch available in 1821 in London for like 3 dudes that he played pool with on the weekends. Like, he didn't publish this far and wide. He comments later in 1838, he says, we got an order from America. Can you believe that? Okay? So for years, people have been trying to prove that Joseph must have had the Ethiopic Book of Enoch. He must have had it. Somehow it got across the ocean. Somehow it got to the desk of this little farm kid in backwoods, Pennsylvania. And that's where he got it all from. Ha! And they want to find the smoking gun to explain the impossible parallels he makes with Enoch. Now, I want to stop everybody and say, okay, so you're admitting there's impossible parallels with Enoch?
Let's cover that first.
Right? Because every time they scramble and grasp for these absurd explanations, they are admitting that there's got to be some explanation for this, right? Because he couldn't just have guessed the exact name, time, place, what clothes he was wearing, what Enoch's favorite food was, right? He couldn't have possibly guessed all this insane stuff. And so they're admitting that it's impossible, first of all. So he says, I found a copy of that document, was available, New York City Library, 1828. Boom, got him. So then so their anti-Mormons are having a big old party. They're putting on their furry suits. They're drinking. It's a party. They're celebrating. We got to figure it out. This is so great. And then somebody actually goes for the nerve. They actually go and they look in the New York City Library for this book. And guess what they find? It was a typo. 1838, not 28. Long after Joseph had already written his Book of Enoch. Oops. So this dude, no, this is so good. So I'm researching this book. This guy, Dr. Townsend from Chicago. I can't remember his first name.
Yeah.
Young guy, Jewish guy, great guy. He's trying to explain this, right? Because it's impossible. That's why he's trying to explain it. Because it's impossible. That's why. So he's trying to figure out how this could have happened. So he comes up with the pan-Enoch theory. This is my favorite. He says, well, you didn't need a source text because everybody was just talking about it so much that he just kind of picked it up from the conversations around the water cooler when they're digging the Erie Canal. That's where he got it from. It is so hilarious. So he
And they're
goes
being
through.
serious when they.
He's legit serious.
Okay.
This guy's he gets
And
his
he has a
dissertation.
PhD.
Now he does. He was writing this, I think, as part of his dissertation.
Wow.
So he cites 35 examples of pre-Joseph publications about Enoch. And he triple snapped. That's what gets the dissertations, the triple snap confidence. So I went through every single one of his 35 evidences. It was more like 40. Every single one of them in the appendix. Because I looked at one and I was like, wait a minute, this is not Enoch. What the? So I was looking at another one. I'm like, what this guy's totally lying. This isn't true at all. So I go through all 40 of them, and they're all total. What would a Marine say? A Marine would say malarkey.
Yeah,
malarkey.
They're total baloney, every single one of them. And I was like, this is so delicious, I have to put this in the book. And so I put it in the appendix because it's kind of going through sources. It gets a little like scholarly or what, it's not as fun. But like every single one, he had to lie. He had to go through and say, this is certainly an evidence he had the book, because they're that desperate to explain how in the heck, pardon my language. I'm sorry. They had to explain how in the world this guy could have written the Book of Enoch. And the funniest part is, that's only one Book of Enoch. That's the Ethiopic.
Yeah.
The other 4, they don't even try. And he has just as many parallels with the other 4. So it's hilarious. And anyways, I hope that this makes it clear. If you read the book, I hope it explains just how amazing it is.
Yeah. So Russell, you've read both of them. What was one of the things that maybe at the beginning when Jonah started explaining, like, this is my theory, like in the TLDR, and you're like, there's no way. And then you read the chapter and you're like, maybe, you know what I mean? Were there a couple things that stick out?
I actually asked him out on the podcast today I did with him, because I was, the one that I thought was my favorite from Gems of Genesis was your hypothesis, or your theory of the 116 missing pages. Because I'm mildly obsessed with the Book of Mormon and all those kind of things. And,
You're mildly obsessed?
And yeah, all that kind of stuff. And so if you guys haven't read this part yet.
First step is admitting you
You have a problem.
I have a problem.
Dude, he has a first edition of every translation of the Book of Mormon that's ever existed. That's the kind of problem Russell has.
mildly obsessed.
Mildly obsessed.
It's a good obsession. Anyway, so the lost 116 pages, right? Like, in my book collecting, someday I'm like,
He's
like,
looking for
like
that right now. So if anyone has it, you got to buy it right
let
here.
me know.
Whoever's got the lost 116.
Some dude in the back's like, all right. This is the perfect time, I guess.
So you think about, we lost that, right? But it's like, how many of us are curious, like, what was on there? And obviously we know there's parallels with Nephi and everything. But then you have this theory from the book of a way that Joseph Smith kind of showed us some of the core things that probably might have been in the 116 pages, just magically showed up in the books of Genesis.
Magically.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that part? Because I thought that was one of my favorites.
Sure. So, okay, we talked about the book, the Pearl of Great Price just kind of comes out of nowhere, right? Never gives an explanation. Why not? Why not? He couldn't have said one thing. Nobody. He never told anybody. His scribe's sitting right there, never writes down. He had like 3 different scribes for the Book of Moses. And no one ever says, Joseph thought it would be a good idea. He said we were working on nothing. Nobody?
Just does it,
Awfully
files away,
suspicious.
comes back out after he's murdered.
Awfully suspicious. Okay. Now, if you remember the lost 116 pages, the Martin Harris was wealthy, and he had a son-in-law, or a to-be son-in-law, Lafayette, Fayette, what's his name? Fayette Latham. Fayette Schnagglepuss Smith, I don't remember his name. Okay, he was the son-in-law. He wanted to marry Martin Harris's daughter. Okay, what happens when you marry the rich dude's daughter who's only got one daughter? You're good, you're set, right? So this guy, right, is trying to get Martin Harris's fortune. And he was convicted of document fraud. He's convicted of document fraud. Like, he's done this before, right? To try to steal money from people. They leave that part out of their little South Park cartoon episodes.
Yeah.
Okay? So this dude is trying to get Martin Harris's money, all right? And Martin Harris loses 116 pages, and you can't bring it back, can you? Because as soon as you do, somebody goes, and they get their alternate translation. They say he's a fraud. Martin Harris says, oh, you were right, he was a fraud, and you get his daughter and his wealth, right? Pretty sweet plan. So Joseph can't come out and say, this is the 116 pages, can he? He can't do that until after the Book of Mormon is published. And what happens weeks after the Book of Mormon is published? He comes out with a mystery revelation that has no name. And it says, and it happens to be all about the Old Testament and Genesis, which is what witnesses to the 116 pages later say. They say the lost 116 pages were about the book of Lehi, and Lehi, 60% of everything Lehi ever writes is about Genesis, 2 Nephi chapter 2. He's writing about Joseph and Jacob, right, in 2 Nephi chapter 3 and 4, if you remember. Lehi's obsessed with Genesis. So funny thing, Joseph couldn't come out and say, this is the lost 116 pages, because it would all have been up. So after the Book of Mormon is published, he reveals this kind of unlabeled revelation that becomes part of our standard works. And it fills in crucial gaps to the fortunate fall, the origin of Satan, and what in the world was going on with these giants, and all that stuff. And so my theory is the Pearl of Great Price is part of that 116 pages, or at least perhaps shares the same source document as what the 116 pages would have had.
Well, you also mentioned, because you started talking about this earlier, but you talked about how the Book of Mormon is the fullness of the gospel, and then, because I think that was like such a fascinating part of it too.
You're going to get people mad at me. People are going to get mad at me about this. Okay, so.
Who wants to get mad at it?
Okay, it's just a theory. Guys, it's just a theory, all right? These are just theories, okay? So the Book of Mormon contains the fullness of the gospel, right? How do we know that?
It says it.
Where does it say it?
In
Introduction.
the introduction.
In the introduction. When is the introduction put in? The introduction. He has copies that don't have that introduction. Right?
Yep.
That introduction was put in 1980. Okay? And where does it come from? What's it quoting? It's in quotes. Fullness of the gospel. What's it quoting?
Is it DNC? Something from DNC?
Very good. It's go to the Doctrine and Covenants section of the Doctrine and Covenants. I think it's 20.
Going right.
Good. Pretty good. All those.
Do I get a bagel?
You finally earned
Yes, it could be a bagel,
I'm a bagel.
for you. But DNC 20 is also quoting an older document. DNC 20 is quoting Joseph Smith's memory of when Moroni first visits him in 1824.
Oh.
That's where it all comes from. Moroni appears in his room, and Joseph wakes up. Oh, there's a glowing angel guy, and floating in the air, and he says, "There's a record that contains the fullness of the gospel. I need you to go find this record." Okay? And Joseph, that phrase, fullness of the gospel, comes from Moroni. That's 1824. Can anyone think of any difference between the 1824 plates that Joseph got and the 1829 Book of Mormon that he publishes? I can think of 116 differences. Right? And the sealed portion, which is a good point. 116 inconvenient differences between the 1824 fullness of the gospel statement and the 1829 Book of Mormon that we all have today. Okay? So,
Interesting.
look, I'm just saying, if I were a kid, if I were like a little kid, and somebody said 1824, fullness of the gospel, then they lose 116 pages. Now here's what we got. I'd be like, so then it doesn't contain the fullness of the gospel anymore, right? Because you just lost 116 pages of it, right?
Yeah.
That's if I were a little kid,
yeah.
I wouldn't say that. Now, of course not. Of course not. Of course not. But if I were a little kid, that might be a natural question that I would ask. So I think that the fullness of the gospel, if it were compromised by the loss of the 116 pages, how convenient would it be to just weeks after the Book of Mormon is published, all of a sudden have this new revelation
here's the rest.
that just like slips underneath there, unlabeled, that becomes part of the Pearl of Great Price.
That's really interesting.
Kind of convenient.
Yeah, and I mean, I read this book, but I guess I didn't read it good enough because this is all new stuff to me. That said,
It is like, wait, that's crazy.
when I was
Off the camera.
when I was reading this like out in the field in Japan or Korea, and so yeah, I was distracted with like
In between drags of a stick.
just drags of cigarettes. But
Yeah.
no, okay. So we're about to start talking about the next book you got in the works.
Oh,
which
all right.
I'm telling you, I've only read the first 3 chapters of it, but I already know it's better than these first 2. It is absolutely amazing. For those that are just popping in, if you're bummed that you can't be here live, don't worry. We're coming to Utah December 5th. We're going to have a lot of your favorite creators: Greg Mattson, Andrea Woodmansey, Cardin Ellis, Baden Cade and Baylor from All Those in Favor, and many more, as well as this nerd again, Jonah Barnes. So you can get tickets, link in the description. We hope to see you there December 5th. Also, if you are interested in buying Jonah's book after he sharing these cool things, code livestream at plainandpreciouspublishing.com will get you 15% off. Okay, Jonah, what is this next book? What's the working title on it?
So working title is The Missing Ministry of the Risen Christ.
Okay.
In the world of weird, ancient, apocryphal documents, there's like a few big groupings of texts. There's a few big things you bump into. You cannot avoid Enoch. Enoch is like a rash all over these ancient documents. Everybody's talking about Enoch, referring to Enoch, quoting Enoch. He's everywhere. The Adam and Eve literature. There's a ton of Adam and Eve literature that is all claiming to be apocryphal. It all parallels him possibly with Joseph. The world doesn't care. But then there's this other big thing that you bump into, and it is the ministry of the 40 days. If you were to take out the Gospel of John from the New Testament and just move it someplace, just for a sec, just move it someplace, and then you'd smash together the Gospel of Luke and the Acts of the Apostles. Who do we think was the author of the Acts of the Apostles? Luke. So if you were to take Luke's writings and suppose that he went through both those books, which he may have done, right in the middle, there's this hole that sometimes when John is there, it kind of obfuscates the hole. You don't notice it. But there's a hole. It ends with, this is how the Gospel of Luke ends. Risen Jesus says, hey guys, stick around here. I'm going to be back 40 days, going to endow you all. It's going to be lit. Bye. Luke 24:37. I'm not lying. Okay?
Fact check that right.
So then,
I'm fact checking it right now.
that's a direct quote. That's a direct quote. It's the NNNNIV. All
Listen.
right?
24, 27.
27?
24, 27?
Is it 24:37?
This might be
37.
the
It might
Ward
be
radio
47.
version of the Book of Mormon.
I can't remember which
Or
one.
the,
But he does say, Jesus says, and behold, I send the promise of the Father upon you, but tarry ye in the city of Jerusalem until ye be endowed with power from on high. And he led them out as far to Bethany, and he lifted up his hands and blessed them. And it came to pass, while he was blessed them, he parted from them and was carried up into heaven. And they worshipped him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy. But yeah, he's like, I'm going to be back, and I'm going to give you,
And where did they
I'm
go?
going to
They
endow
returned
you
to
with
Jerusalem.
power.
They returned to Jerusalem with great joy, and what do they do when they're there?
And they were continually in the temple praising and blessing God.
oh, but they didn't need the temple after the veil was rent.
The veil was rent. No need temples anymore.
Yeah,
right.
The temple's
Right.
stupid.
Luke
Pat,
didn't
my
know.
pastor told me that.
If Luke knew what we knew.
Yeah.
So there's this hole. So then Acts begins. Right after that, imagine Luke writing this. I'll be back. I'll endow you all. It's going to be lit, as the youths say. Am I right? Am I right?
We got one youth.
We got one, yeah.
He's smiling because I'm so hip.
Yeah, two youths.
I'm so bussin'. So then the Acts chapter 1 begins. It's a youth thing. It's an internet slang. So Acts chapter 1, Luke starts off and he says, 40 days the Lord appeared and he taught us a bunch of stuff. Anyways, so Pentecost. And you're like, wait, hold on. What did the immortal guy say? Nothing. Here's some letters from Paul. Like, who's Paul? He saw Jesus Christ, And you're like, right. But Jesus Christ was here for 40 days. Did he say anything? Did he do anything? Did he write anything? Shh, you just need more Paul. You just need more Paul. And it's like, I want to know. I want to know what is in that hole. So I call that Luke's lacuna. A lacuna is a hole, let's say, okay? And
Is this a word you made up?
no, this is a real word. It's a real word. I would
We're fact checking that. How do you spell it?
go Google that word. It's a real word. So Luke's lacuna. So it's a hole where it says there's going to be 40 days, and then anyway, so after the 40 days, and you're like, what? I want to know. It's the climax of the whole Bible. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
You just spent how many thousands of pages talking about this immortal man who would come. He's God himself in the flesh, and he comes and he does this stuff, and he rises from the grave, and then, anyways, and it skips it.
Yeah.
This
Hey,
is the worst ending ever.
lacuna. It's a noun, an unfilled space or interval, a gap.
Oh,
So-
well, thank you.
Hey, let's not give him too much credit. Jonah's just writing in ChatGPT. Hey, hey, so there's like this big hole after Luke. What's like a cool way I could say this that that has an alliteration? It's like Luke's lacuna.
Or it's an AI thing you can use.
AI, it's a whole different conversation. We'll tell you later.
Lacuna Matata.
So anyway, but yeah, there's this lacuna, there's this hole. And so if this were a book, it'd be the worst book ever. If this were a movie, it'd be like, the pirate, and he's like, I've been waiting for this for a long time. Draw your sword. And he's like, I've been training this whole montage, and I'm way better now. And they're like, oh yeah? And then it cuts. And the damsel's like, oh, you saved me. You'd be like, wait a minute. Where's all the blood? Where's all the swashbuckling sword fighting? Like, where'd that go? It just skips it. This is Jesus Christ risen in the flesh for 40 days, and we have nothing. This should make every Christian really, really confused, really nervous, okay? It's the biggest, most important part of the Bible, and it's gone. There's actually a really cool apocryphal text. They all have the same name. It's like Testamentum Jesu Christi Domini Nostri. I can't remember which one, but it's the Testament of Galilee, maybe? I'm going to get it wrong, and here the comments come. Just here they come.
They're coming.
But in one of these, it's actually really cool. It spends like 3 pages on Christ's mortal ministry. That's it. It's like Christ was born in Bethlehem, yada, yada, yada. He healed some people, he got crucified, and he died. And then it spends 30 pages on the lost 40 days. And you kind of go, yeah, why not? Doesn't that make as much sense as Luke? It makes as much sense as Luke. The 40 days was what he said was going to be the big stuff. He said, I'm going to come back. I won't be afraid of it. There will be no more wondering who I am.
I'm going to endow you with power.
I'm going to endow you with power. I want to know what the heck happened. And yet we don't have any of it. So there's a lot written about that makes zero sense unless you have Joseph.
Yep.
But Joseph restores the key to this stuff. Remember in Goonies? See, us old guys are like, yeah, now we get a reference.
Now we get something cool.
Take that. Yeah. So in Goonies, remember where he holds up the doubloon? You remember. And he sees the rocks, the Astoria rocks. Come on. You're with me? I see some nods.
Yeah.
And he goes, One-Eyed Willie, and it's this many paces, and that's how he finds the entrance to the caves, right?
Yeah, we all know.
He holds up this doubloon. Previously, it was all noise. This was all noise. It was rocks and surf and clouds, because it's Astoria. All we have are clouds. And I'm from the Northwest. He holds up the doubloon, and all of a sudden it becomes clear. He has a map that he maps on to what was otherwise chaos. And then all of a sudden it becomes clear. That's Joseph. Joseph revealed temple ceremonies. He revealed temple ceremonies, very strange, mystical temple ceremonies, which the world laughs at. And they call us a cult because of our temple ceremonies, okay? And if you take that doubloon, Joseph Smith's temple ceremonies, and you go like this over the noise of the Gnostic writings, pseudepigraphical writings about the 40 days, and apocryphal writings, guess what? It pops out like bright as day. And you can see, oh my gosh, this is what the temple ceremonies that Joseph Smith instituted are the exact same ceremonies that Jesus Christ was carrying out with his disciples on the Mount of Olives during the 40 days in risen flesh. And there's lots of records that talk about it, lots of them. And it's not like one or two. The Venn diagram is he was doing those same ceremonies that we get laughed at for. Okay? Jesus Christ was doing it. And so I thought, that's got to be the third book. That's such a big deal. I hear people, it breaks my heart. They say they love the gospel, they love Jesus Christ, but the temple makes them uncomfortable. Have you ever heard this?
Yeah.
That breaks my heart. Jesus Christ reserved the most important 40 days to teach his apostles and disciples those exact ceremonies that people get all uncomfortable with because we are so soaked in Protestantism. We're so soaked in rationalism that we can't for a moment let go and be a little mystical.
Yeah.
And so It breaks, so I'm writing this book for those people, women who are nervous to wear their garments because it seems a little uncomfortable or might be a little strange. I'm writing it for those good women who love Jesus Christ. You love Jesus Christ? You love him? Here's why you should love his garment. You should love that garment. Mm-hmm. You love Jesus Christ, you should love the endowment. You should love the prayer circle. Because that's what he chose to do with his apostles. The last thing he chose to do before he ascended to the right hand of the Father. And by the way, he did it with the Nephites in Bountiful. He did it with some other people, which is very exciting. Some lost tribes documents, okay? He chose to do that. And so it breaks my heart that some people are uncomfortable with the things in the temple. They say, I love Jesus, but those make me uncomfortable. I think, guys, no, that's not right. I'm writing it for those people so that they can learn to love the temple as much as Christ loved the temple. Love the endowment, love the prayer circle, love the veil, love those things as much as Jesus himself loved them. That's what I want to communicate with the third book.
Yeah. Wow. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it's a good one. I mean, from what I've read so far, these apocryphal writings are impossibly incredible.
Oh.
Like, there's one, and I might
like quoting.
Please correct me.
Word for word.
Please correct me if I'm wrong.
One of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
or
nervous.
maybe
I'm
that one.
Some of them I'm nervous to put in print because I think this is like right. I mean,
we know there are very specific things that we're not allowed to talk about in the temple. There are like pretty much like 6, I think, specific things that we covenant not to talk about. One of the things in these apocryphal works, though, that may or may not be related to the temple, is Mary. Mary Magdalene gathers the disciples together, and she has each of them make a circle, stand in a circle around her, and have men on the right, women on the left, and they're supposed to grab each other by the wrist and repeat as she prays, right?
As she prays, yeah.
And that's written in apocryphal documents.
Correct.
That were all translated after Joseph Smith's death.
Correct. And unavailable to Joseph Smith. That's not just one. There's lots of those.
And there's all these strange things that, I mean, if you're just some guy reading apocryphal works and you don't have any if you don't have that doubloon to go up, you're just like, what are these weird things that we're doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know if because I'm nervous to say these things on live television.
It's nothing crazy.
They could be very sacred. So this is from the Gothic Missal. So the Romans turn into Greek philosophers, and they go find all the Christians who've been practicing Christianity on their own in their little isolated communities. They've been doing this in northern Italy. They've been doing this in Gaul or France. They've been doing it in these other places. The Romans then go find them, and they say, what are you guys doing? And they say, oh, we're Christians. They go, okay, well, we're in charge now. What kind of Christianity are you doing? And these guys say, oh, well, we have these rituals that we do. And the Romans are like, no. And they start stamping these out. You can't do these. This document survives. There's several kind of like this. Survives from the 5th and 6th centuries when the Romans were going and investigating these rituals, and they write them down. They say, what are these rituals that you do? And
when was this translated into English?
The Gothic Missal was, oh, boy.
1980, wasn't it, Jackson?
Or early
2005.
Or early 2000s is from what?
The Gothic Missal was, it was either late 20th or...
It was after 1844.
It was way after 1844.
Yeah.
So in it says the Gothic Missal has an initiation rite called the ad Christiandum faciendum, or translated to English, to make an anointee. It involves several hierophants, which is basically an officiant.
A temple worker,
Yeah. Attending to the initiate after they have been baptized. One hierophant blesses, another gives the seal, and the last one marks the initiate. And then it has the actual wording and liturgy of how to do the ordinance.
And you can read, and there's several documents like this, and it'll talk about different parts of their body being washed and anointed, and it has them in order, You know, if to the rest of the world, some of these things don't make sense. But if you have seen Joseph Smith's reinstituted, restored temple rites, then you start to see, whoa, wait a minute. This is familiar, this is familiar. Some of it's a little muddled, but you hold that doubloon and you can see the truth of the temple rituals come out. And so it's a little hard to write some of the things because I don't want to desecrate anything that's sacred. I don't want to treat those things lightly. And so some people they're not going to be happy about it, but I think that I don't spoil any pearls or whatever. I think it's, I'm quoting documents that are publicly available. But when you go through them, I hope after your shock, I hope you consider, how did Joseph know this? There's no way he could have known this. Some of them are verbatim. And you think, Joseph just, happened to guess all this right? It's impossible. And so the rituals that many of the rituals that we engage in our temple ceremonies are extraordinarily similar to rituals that were practiced by the early Christians, the primitive Christians, instituted by our Lord Jesus Christ in the risen flesh. So you can read the book. I try to tread lightly on those things. It's a little hard because I like jokes, but I don't want to make too many jokes around.
On that one. Yeah.
But there's 2 chapters on the prayer circle because it just goes on.
Yeah,
and on.
Mike Day, we've done a couple episodes with Mike Day. If you guys if you're a psycho and watch 5 hours of our Freemasonry in the temple video, we got some psychos in here, But that one Mike talks about. A ton of people. Yeah, we actually what we want to do, and maybe this is something. If you guys have something, as we go to Q&A, we're about to go to Q&A. If you guys have a subject, anyone here that you're like, hey, I want an in-depth, as deep as you can, sick Mike and Dave and anyone else on it subject, let us know, because we have a couple that we want to do. We're going to do like a long one on the great apostasy. Yeah. We're going to get deep into the great apostasy. We're going to be getting deep into a lot of other stuff, but. Yeah, which apostasy exactly?
This guy right here.
There's our Canadian.
Yeah.
God bless you, Kim.
Yeah, so
love that guy.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for the book.
Me too.
I think it's going to be awesome. The thing that's crazy is he submitted the first manuscript, and he's like, wait, don't read that because I'm writing more and more. And then he's like, wait, he'll send another one and be like, wait, don't read that, I'm writing more. And now it's like 400 pages. He's like, okay, I just have to do 2 books. I'm going to break it up into 2 different books.
A little long. Ran a little long.
So hopefully we can get at least 2 more books out of Jonah.
Yep.
I'm really excited. So we want to pass it over. If anyone has questions for anybody on the panel, let's put your hands up and we'll bring a mic. We got this mic right here, Jack. If you want to take it off.
Plain. You say Russian.
Okay. Does anyone got a question? I guess we got right there in the back, and then we'll do green here.
Yes. Then we'll do Kim.
And we'll get when we got you right there.
Oh, right there. Yep.
So when does a new book come out? The part A?
2020 is going to be 2026.
That's not helpful.
Jonah, we can never move as fast as Jonah can write, but it's gonna be before. It's gonna be in the spring of 2026.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Alleged.
So
crap. Now, Dave, get working.
It's less of a question and more of a show topic idea. This touches our family a little too closely, but I would love to have a better understanding of the early church fathers. And what I specifically mean is I feel like there's a certain church that has handpicked church fathers, things that they taught, and ignored other things that they have taught.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't.
What could you be referring to? Just some church.
McConkey's church. No, not his church. No, the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And that was obvious. And so I don't have enough time to go dig into it myself. I have probably enough interest, just not enough time. Mm-hmm. And so it just feels like there is picking what you want to prove that you're the church, and ignoring what Ignatius, just as an example, said about
Apotheosis.
deification or transubstantiation.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that would be a lights out.
Okay, cool.
Show topic.
I really like that one. I actually have the perfect guy to do that. So I met Mike Day, who's a channel favorite, as an institute teacher. I took his Old Testament class. One year I took his Old Testament class at Institute. I wasn't going to school at the time, so I would just show up to the Institute and I took it. And then it was over and I was like, I'll just take it again. And I took his same Old Testament class. It wasn't like a different one. It wasn't like it was the same one for 4 years. And another class I did as well was his friend and colleague, and we'll have to see if we can get him on. His name's John Peterson. And he taught an early Christian history class. And there was really interesting stuff about the early church fathers. So that's awesome. Write that down, Brando. Yeah. We want to do that. Okay, green shirt right here. You had a question, and then we had white cap over here.
And just for this gentleman who asked that question, there is one chapter of my book does deal with those early church fathers and their beliefs regarding apotheosis. There's so many, listing them takes up about a chapter of how many times they talk about it. One of the troubles with it is that the early church fathers would say Trinity. They'd say Trinity, right? Trick is Trinity didn't mean what it meant until it gets later
300.
formalized in the ecumenical councils. And so some of those early church fathers, Tertullian and these guys, will say Trinity. Got to believe in the Trinity. Trinity is great, okay? But they don't mean a big three-headed cloud monster, thing like the dog that guards the Harry Potter. Cerberus. Thank you, youths. Thank you to the youths.
Is that your son?
That's my son.
He's equally as nerdy as Jonah, but cooler.
Yeah,
honestly.
he is. So sometimes you read those early church fathers. They might say this or say that, but they didn't always necessarily mean the same thing. But they definitely believed in apotheosis, big time,
That's awesome. Cool. All right.
So actually, this question is for you two military guys.
Yeah.
Reading the Book of Mormon while you're on tour or whatever you're doing, is there a bomb-proof version of it where it can be soaked in water, or it can be put really rough and stick on top? Because I think we're going to hit some pretty rough days in the next.
You want one of those?
I want to have a bomb-proof version. I've been looking.
There is one. Our friends over at Digital Legend, they have a waterproof Book of Mormon that has been pretty hardly tested. Yeah, hardly. It's been thoroughly tested, very hard, and it's great. So if you look up Digital Legend, they have a waterproof and bomb-proof Book of Mormon.
Yep.
I think it's bomb-proof.
Apocalypse-proof Book of Mormon. Maybe we need to start carrying that. Start selling that. That's epic. Cool. Thanks.
Jonah.
Yeah.
So we have 15 prophets. If you could have one of those men read your 2 books, who would it be?
Oh, I'd love to, I'd love for them. Oh boy, that's hard. Cause what do you say to Holland?
Yeah, but also and you don't want to get excommunicated.
That's adorable. Holland. I'm gonna tell Holland about the Book of Mormon. He's gonna be like, yes, you're so cute. I'm gonna say to him, I don't know, who would be? I kind of feel like Christofferson would be a chill. He might be like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
He's got that
he might be
$1 smile.
Oh, yeah, all right.
That's good.
Stevenson's a book collector, though. He'd be the one.
Or Kieran. Kieran just sounds like an awesome.
Cool.
I feel like Kieran.
But you have to do the audiobook. We give him to do the audiobooks.
He would I feel like Kieran would be like,
Cool.
yeah, let's chat about it. Awesome.
Hey, well, we got a surprise for you tonight. Elder Kieran, come on out. Awesome, cool.
Thank you for your question.
White hat over here, pass down. White hat right here, and then I think there was a couple over there.
He's one of those.
It's blue in the back. Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. In a couple of the videos that I've watched, I've seen you reference a book that Mike Day's working on.
Yes.
And I think I was hearing spring of 2025, summer. When is that book coming out? I'd love to.
Yeah, so we got a first draft of Mike's book, and so we read it. It's going to be really awesome. He is doing something similar. I mean, it's different than any of the other books that we've published, but he is he wants it to be like not even just, it's the temple prep and also the post-temple, where he goes through and his kind of thesis is that the reason you like Star Wars, the reason you like Lord of the Rings, is because they are telling a story. They are telling the hero's journey, and the hero's journey has its origin in the temple. And so he'll take you through the hero's journey and through the temple in a way where when you go, you realize like, oh, this is where I fall and I enter the dreary world and I find redemption. I'm the apprentice, and then I grow and I conquer, and then I return to the garden, right? So it's cool.
I'm really excited.
We're trying to get it done. Since we're back, we've been able to get like 2 books out or 3 books out a year so far. Next year we're trying to get 6 books out. So we're
cool.
quickening up our processes.
And many, I don't know, Jonah, maybe it was different for you, but many of the authors that have submitted manuscripts, the problem is you're always researching more and keep learning, and you got to find a cutoff point. And a lot of people, when they embark on the journey and saying they were going to write a book, Andrea Woodmansey is one of those that she came on our channel. Her video has almost like 400,000 views, and she's in the works of a awesome book. But the problem is you just keep learning and you can't figure out what to cut off, and so it takes longer than you think.
Sure.
But hopefully the end product is going to be everything we.
But soon we're gonna unlock him from his room that we
Great.
keep him in to write, and then we'll get the main.
Yeah, Mike's the man.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more quick one?
Yes.
The other one that I had was about your theory, the 116 pages and the maybe being the pearl of great price or something like. Have you spoken with Don Bradley about that theory? I haven't read Don Bradley's book, the 116 pages, but he seems like maybe one of the authorities.
It's an epic one.
So I have not discussed the theory with him. I do know Don Bradley. He's a great guy. When we recorded on Ward Radio, has anybody seen Ward Radio? Anybody seen Ward Radio?
Yeah.
You admit that. It's a fun time. It's a good time. But when we recorded Ward Radio, we slept in the same trailer. So I like to say that I slept with Don Bradley. He loves when I say that.
Big fan.
He wrote The Lost 116 Pages. Fantastic book. And he knows all about the history, the provenance of how it went down, and then the content and interviews with people who worked with the scribes, and they heard what Martin Harris said, and they heard what Joseph Smith said about it. He pieces it together to try to explain what was on the 116 pages. So I think his scholarship on that front is far better than mine. He's an excellent historian. Also, doesn't have a degree.
Really?
Not a history professor. No PhD. No PhD.
Huh.
See?
Cool. That's awesome.
But I don't think our theories are mutually exclusive. And I used some of his theory to inform my own. So, but if you have not read The Lost 116 Pages, I highly recommend. Excellent book.
Awesome. We had this one in the back.
We got one right here
here
as well to save me from
Oh,
walking
okay,
over
cool.
there, you know?
Yeah.
Thanks, Miles.
Thanks, Bob.
So, Jonah, I really appreciate your clarity of talking about Mother Eve in your books. It's great. As a woman, it's amazing. And have you ever thought of correlating relationship between her and the mother in some of this information? And what have you learned through any of that? Anything that you would share?
Well, good question. So that's out there. I actually might recommend some of the discourses of Brigham Young. Talk a little bit about that. That you can kind of go find. We have a mother in heaven, and life is one eternal round. And this particular cycle of creation, Eve is the mother of us all. And she's one of the most vilified characters in all of Scripture, perhaps the most vilified character in all of Scripture, and she deserves some redemption. I hope that I've given her a little bit of that. The theory of, Heavenly Father doesn't tell us much about our mother because of all the mud that gets thrown at him. He doesn't want that thrown at his wife. I always thought that was kind of like, But after seeing how Eve has been vilified, I'm kind of like, well, maybe that's not so crazy, because she gets so much criticism for saving us all. Hello, for giving us all life, and she gets nothing but hate for it. And so you think, well, maybe the father saw that and he's like, you know what? Let's leave my wife out of this. But
Hey, so everyone, go hug your moms. Say that you
call
love
your
them.
mom. Did you guys know you can schedule a text? Did you know you can schedule text?
I do.
I don't know, you can schedule it. I'll explain it later.
A text message.
You can schedule a text to your mom. So you're falling asleep at night. You're like, I should have called my mom today. You can schedule texts. And just be like, the next 4 days, hey, mom, I love you. Hey, mom, thinking about you. Boom, go to sleep. Takes care of it for you.
Yep. Yeah, that's real love. Okay, cool. Question over here in the back.
Hey, Jonah. I would love to see a book basically combining both these two books written to the Christian audience. About, because in essence, we have Christ comes, right? And he calls out the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the scribes.
Yes.
Who are writing the record, who have tweaked it so much so that they don't even recognize Christ when he comes. And then the Christian world grabs the Bible that they've given them, the Old Testament that they've given them, and runs with it. Sola Scriptura, right? I'd love to see that to help equip members of the church to better defend the faith and help explain the Bible being messed with.
So remember, Sola Scriptura does not exist. Sola Scriptura is sola lawyer. Somebody says Sola Scriptura, that's a lie. It's only sola lawyer. Somebody says, I believe in Sola Scriptura, what they really mean is, I trust the last editor more than I trust God and the Spirit, or I trust my pastor, or I trust this exegeter, this theologian. Okay, there is no Sola Scriptura, there's only sola lawyer. Okay, that's a great question. Let me tell you why I'm hesitant to do that, to write something for Christians. Here's why. We have spent 2 centuries begging and scraping for the Christian world to accept us and apologizing for the Book of Mormon. And I'm so sick of doing that. I'm just so, and I know that's not what you're suggesting I do, but one of the reasons why I am so unapologetic about page 1, Joseph was a prophet, fight me. He's a prophet, deal with it, sorry, not sorry. Because I'm so tired of all these LDS scholars, wonderful scholars, who've spun their wheels trying to get in good with the Yale cocktail clubs. With other professors who will say, well, maybe I don't think your religion is too crazy. No, they're never going to say that. They think we're idiots. They're always going to think we're fools. And so I don't like chasing that car that you can never catch for their approval and their acceptance. I'm so sick of it. And so I begin my books by saying, Joseph was a prophet. You don't like it, deal with it. And then it's so freeing. And then you get to go into all these marvelous, amazing parallels and celebrate the restored gospel. And so that's one reason why I'm hesitant to write for the Christians. However, my third book, in the dedication, I do say, this is dedicated partially to our Christian brothers and sisters who've been lied to for 2,000 years. You've been lied to that Jesus Christ didn't like temples, or Jesus Christ didn't do any hierophantic rituals, or Jesus Christ just disappeared for 40 days. You've been lied to. And our Christian brothers and sisters, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. They've been lied to for thousands of years. And so I do hope that it would be a little more accessible in the third book, that a Christian could read it and say, how come I've never heard of this before? Why has this been kept from me? I would hope so. But I'm so hesitant. I'm tired of playing defense with the gospel. I'm tired of apologizing that the Book of Mormon takes no prisoners with the Bible. And so I like instead being free to write about the glorious proofs of Joseph's prophetic authenticity in the Book of Mormon. And so, but that could be down the road. That could be fun to do someday, to write it to our Christian brothers and say, did you know this? Did you know you've been lied to? So that's a good suggestion.
That's good. Awesome. Question right there.
In front.
So I love everything you guys are doing, all the different directions, the books, the channel and everything. but I'm still waiting for it. When I first found your channel,
Yeah,
you
okay,
guys,
all right.
you guys are talking about being in Saudi Arabia, sort of like,
And we really
want to
were.
see that stuff,
I
or at least
promise.
have a book about it.
I know, dude. Okay, all right. So let me give the full story and where we're at with it. We go over to the Middle East. We travel from Jerusalem through the Jordanian desert on camels. We're taking ATVs through the Jordanian desert, going to ancient wells from the time of Lehi, and then we go to Saudi Arabia, and like it's an amazing experience. Then we get back and we're like, okay, well, we have to finish the rest of the journey, right, in the Middle East. So we start looking trying to raise money to be able to go to the Middle East again. We're looking at trying to get into Yemen. We quickly find out that no one's crazy enough to take us to Yemen.
Well,
And,
a couple people are, but we realized maybe we're not crazy.
maybe we're not crazy enough. It was a little rough.
I have yet to have posterity, so I'd like to do that first.
And then, yeah, it's way better leaving orphans
That you
behind,
know.
huh?
That's a crazy hero arc. Are you kidding me?
That's cool. I mean, but he might be Batman. He might turn into Batman or something. That's cool.
Maybe a villain arc.
So then we're like, okay, well, we gotta at least go to Oman. So we actually get the money. We're about to go to Oman. We're literally like have our bags packed, ready to go, and we get a message because this was in October
10th, 2023.
October 10th, 2023. So what happened October 7th, 2023, right? So because that happens, the president goes over and he's like, we support Israel. And so then all the Muslim countries are like, hey, America's supporting Israel. We're not supporting anything American. And so our filming permits that we had received to film in Oman revoked. So we're literally like packing our bags ready to go to the airport. And
Which,
we're like,
if any of you don't know where Oman is, that's where like the land bountiful is. Over the 1,300 miles stretch of southern Arabian coast that's all arid, there's like a 60 square mile area that's like the most fertile rainforest that you've ever seen. And so that's where we're going to go.
Yeah, so we're going to go there. So then we're like, okay, well, maybe we'll just have to talk about that, or maybe we'll have to like go undercover there. I don't know what we're going to have to do. But then, what happens, like, well, let's still move forward. We can start working on it, and maybe we just talk about it, and we just say, like, because of the war, we weren't able to go there. But then we just keep learning more, and we keep learning more, and we're like, we have to put that in the documentary, that in the documentary. We meet Dave Butler, and we're like, this weirdo has so many cool things to share. We got to have this in the documentary. And I know Dave's watching, that's why I can say he's a weirdo. But we're like, man. So then we end up going to England because there are a couple things that we interview Margaret Barker, and we were at least 2 interviews with Margaret Barker, but there's a third one that we reserved specifically for the documentary that hasn't been put out yet. So then we get back from England, and we're like, hey, all right, I think we did it. I think we got all the stuff we need. Let's put together a documentary. And then Uncle Sam's like, oh, yeah, you guys are going on a deployment for a year. And then we're like, oh, okay. Looks like we're going to hit it when we get back.
And then we just got back 3 weeks ago, okay?
So get off our back, all right?
You've had 3 weeks.
We're working on it.
What have you been doing for 3 weeks?
I know.
Yeah, so we're excited. The thing that's amazing is while we're gone, as we pointed out earlier, we have now Brandon a part of our team. And because of people's awesome donations to support the channel and stuff like that, we're going to be able to continue to have Brandon a part of the team, which expands our abilities to continue the YouTube channel. And we do have the documentary on the list of things getting done. So
mark our words, it's coming soon as the Lord soon cometh, okay?
No man knows the day or the hour.
It'll be here before.
No man. This time, no man.
Yeah.
No, literally.
How do you even mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we're excited for it. Some really cool stuff.
It'll be awesome when it comes out.
Yeah, it'll be awesome when it comes out. We'll probably, we'll do a fun like launch party or something. It'll be really cool.
Come back.
So awesome.
Good
We'll
question.
take
Good question.
one more question right here in the front, and then I have one question, and then we'll wrap up.
I'm dying to know about Book of Mormon secrets.
Oh, that was my question. You stole it from me.
Stole it. It's mine now.
Okay. Tell us. It's mine now.
Well, I have
It's
another
my hat
question.
now. Totally my hat. If anyone gets a reference. Okay, continue.
Yeah, so I'm going to be starting a LDS podcast and YouTube channel, and we record the first couple episodes today with these guys. So those who don't know me, I've written a bunch of books, and all my books have something secrets, like .com secrets, expert secrets. Anyway, all my products are something secret. So the channel will be called Book of Mormon Secrets, and hopefully by January we'll have the first couple episodes coming out, and we'll see where it goes. So.
No, I love this though. I love this though. Thank you for not making a Book of Mormon Answers channel. Thank you for not doing that. We have so many answers. We have so many answers. Zip-dee-doo. We need more questions.
Yeah.
We need more secrets. The Book of Mormon has secrets. It has things no one's ever found before. No one's ever
Think of
found
stuff
them.
you found just, you know what I mean? It's insane.
Yeah, I'm a baker who wears Crocs.
You're like, look what I found. Like, what else is in there that
like
we don't even
anybody
know?
can find it. That's why I love you called a Book of Mormon Secrets. I think that's awesome. I hope that informs your content.
Yeah.
That there's stuff in there that no one's ever found and that you could find it. Who knows? I love that title.
No, it's awesome.
Fun. So.
Tell real quick, just because we've been spending the whole day with you here, we got to go see your book collection. Maybe just talk a little bit about your book collection, what you're doing with that, what your plans are. Because this guy has like millions of dollars of Mormon, like rare books and things like that. It's absolutely breathtaking. It's really cool, random stuff too. Just talk about that for a second.
Yeah, the story behind it. So when I was on my mission, I started a mission in New Jersey, and there was a lady we baptized who, she made her living. She would buy LDS books on eBay, and then she'd go to Desert Book auctions back in the other thing. She'd flip them. That's how she made her living. And so we were.
And she
wasn't even LDS. Yeah.
She was actually an anti-Mormon. She ran an anti-Mormon radio show and all sorts of stuff. Wow. And then she'd moved from Arizona to
Mormon story. As a precursor.
Yeah. So she moved to Jersey where my mission was at, and then when she was there, she was away from all her anti-Mormon friends. And she said one day, I was like, what if the church wasn't, like, what if it was true? And she started going through doctrine by doctrine. And after a while, she's like, huh. So then she called the sister missionaries. They came over, started teaching her, and eventually she got baptized, and she's the most amazing person. So we go to her house and teach lessons and stuff, and she always had all these stacks of old church books, and I didn't, you know, I'm a 19-year-old kid, I wasn't like obsessed with books, but it was kind of a cool thing she was doing, and she'd show us different things she'd find and how much she'd make flipping them. And I remember one day she's like, hey, you want to see something cool? I'm like, yeah. And so she pulled up eBay, and she's like, check this out, there's a first edition copy of the Book of Mormon for sale.
Wow.
And I think it was like $50,000 or $60,000 back then. And she's like, that would be the coolest thing you could get. And so a 19-year-old kid, I'm like, that would be so cool. So then fast forward till probably 7 years ago.
So right when you got home.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 22 years old. No, just kidding. I started my business, and I was having some success. And then just one day I was on eBay, and I just popped my head. So I typed in first edition Book of Mormon, and sure enough, one pops up. And I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. I could actually afford that now. And then I messaged Reed Moon, and I was like, because I was trying to shop it around, and Reed, and the one on eBay was I can't remember how much it was, probably $30,000 or $40,000. So I messaged Reed Moon because I saw he had all those bookstores. I'm like, do you have first editions for sale? He's like, yeah. And he showed me he had one for like, the cheapest one he had was like $85,000. There's like 150, there's 250, and like a $3 million one. And I was like, whoa. The one on eBay seems way cheaper than that. So that was the first one I ever bought. And the reason why I bought it was up to that point in my life, like in our home, we had Book of Mormons everywhere. They're on the shelves and they're everywhere, but they're not special, right? And I was like, I want to figure out like a way to make this special for me again. And so that's why I made the investment.
Take a loan out. You take a loan out on it.
You'll never forget it.
You'll remember
like,
it every month.
I have to read this to get my money's worth.
Yeah, basically. And so I bought that first edition. And we when I got it home, it was really fun. I brought my family together, and we told the story and showed them pictures of the Grandin building, how they printed and everything. And then I was like, there's 5,000 copies, and there's only about 350 known copies. And I was like, you guys want to see something? And I was like, I've got one. And it was just a really cool experience to share that with my family. And I started sharing it with friends. And like, I just love sharing the stories behind the book with people. And then when COVID hit, I started getting into book collecting. And like they said,
You're an addict.
In the last 3.5, 4 years, I bought about 18,000 books and manuscripts. Not all LDS, a lot of them LDS, or I also have collected business and personal development books, but they're all books, manuscripts, first editions. The church stuff is my favorite.
Dude, okay, one of them that you showed us, this is a crazy story. So have you guys ever heard of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill? He's kind of like the first like personal development author. So he had like some sort of weird connection or obsession with Latter-day Saints.
Through his writing, his work, he's always bumping into the LDS people over and over and over again.
And so there was a short story that was written about Corey Anton. who we all know was the son who.
Yeah, B.H. Roberts wrote a book called
B.H.
Corian.
wrote.
Yeah.
Yes, you tell it. You tell the story.
Okay,
You're way better.
B.H. Roberts wrote a book called Corian, which is the story of Corian, right? And then later someone got it and then turned it into a screenplay, wanting to make it a movie. And for some reason, Napoleon Hill randomly bumps into this guy who's got the screenplay, and Napoleon Hill thinks it's the greatest idea in the world to publish Corian, an Aztec love story. And so Napoleon Hill,
An Aztec love
that's what it's called. And so, so Napoleon Hill goes and he fundraises, and he raises like $1 million to produce this film. They produce the film, they launch it, and it fails everywhere across the country except for in Utah.
What year was this?
This would have been probably the 30s, I think.
30s, yeah.
Somewhere there. And so I've got 3 copies of the screenplay. But anyway, the
weird.
BYU library actually has a copy of it. They played it at the Wilkinson Center like 5 or 6 years ago. They showed it. One of my friends actually saw it. So we're trying to. Maybe you guys can all be part of it to like get a viewing at BYU. We actually get to watch the original Corian and Aztec love story that Napoleon Hill funded. So there's.
So if you want to have a watch party down in
Who'd be up for
Utah,
that? Who wanna come
like
to
the
that?
stream, and we'll do that. So
That sounds crazy.
cool.
Oh yeah, so there's a lot of.
It's crazy.
There's a lot of just some fun.
That's awesome.
Fun things.
Well, it's been such a fun night. I'm so grateful everybody's been able to come out, and you've shared all the awesome gems that you have found that were lost in Genesis, and much more.
And there's
Russell.
more, by the way. There's like 20 other chapters that go even the last one was a cliffhanger for me, and then the book ended, and I was just like, I had so many unresolved issues with. So if you haven't finished the book yet, the ending is insane. So there you go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we're going to kick it off. We're going to let Jonah bear his testimony about the Book of Mormon after this. But just before we get to that, if you guys were sad you weren't able to make it here because you don't live in Boise, we're doing another live event December 5th down in Utah. You can get your tickets below. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be releasing another book called The Doctrines and the Mysteries by Caleb Williams. It's a really cool book, and it's going to be another fun night. So get your tickets there. And also, if you want to buy any books for the next 24 hours, code LIVESTREAM gets you 15% off. Now, Jonah, why do you write all these books about the Book of Mormon?
I don't want to answer that question. I want to answer a different question. As I'm researching my 3rd book about Jesus Christ during the 40 days, I'm struck at, I love members of the church so much. I love Latter-day Saints. Latter-day Saints, I got picked up, I land here in Boise. I get picked up by this guy I've never met. He's like, here, take my car. I'm like, yeah, great. We're just instantly friends because he's a Latter-day Saint. And, the world looks at us as weirdos. Has anyone noticed? Anyone noticed how the media looks at us? We are weird, okay? And they make these shows about our secrets and our wives and our secret wives and all this like stupid, ridiculous stuff, right? They think we are freaks. And they're always going to think we're freaks. But they thought that the original Christians were freaks too. They thought they were freaks. I found this great document by Caecilius Natalis in 197 AD that he wrote about the primitive Christians and how they're all crazy and they're all, can I say this? They're all incestuous cannibals. Awesome. So great. What a great quote. Okay. That he thinks that they're all just crazy and says these horrible things about the original Christians because they thought they were crazy. They thought they were freaks. And they think we're freaks. And so when I see you wonderful people here who just love the gospel, you just love the gospel, you taste the Spirit and you want to go where that feeling is. And I see that, I think about those people huddled on the Mount of Olives outside Jerusalem, who they love the Spirit. They just want to be around it. And I love members of the church. So I love the motto, Stick of Joseph motto, stay curious and hungry, okay? Like there are secrets in the Book of Mormon and there's depth to the gospel that no one's ever found. And they're never going to find it because they think we're freaks. And so it's just a feast for us. And we can try to share with our friends as much as we can. But I hope you embrace it and feast on the truths of the gospel and go follow that Spirit wherever it is and take heart because they thought they were freaks too. And they think, and so I'm proud to be counted alongside all those people who've been so dismissed for hundreds of years. They just thought they were crazy, and they think we are too. They thought Jesus was a heretic too. And so I want to bear my testimony. Jesus Christ rose from the grave. He rose and he took up flesh again. And he taught temple ordinances to his apostles. And he taught truths and doctrines to his apostles that the world lost. And no one has them but us. I hope you never get over it. I hope you think about it every day. That we're the luckiest people in all of creation, that we have these things that no one else has. And I bear that, my testimony, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
And until next time, stay curious and hungry.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget all the bagels that Jonah checked.
All natural pumpkin spice bagels
Yeah.
baked this morning. They've got cranberries in them, okay? I proofed and baked them myself. Please go find some.